up guys, Sam Logue for Green Blood Boxing. Thanks very much for tuning into the video. Before we go anywhere, please like, share, comment and subscribe, obviously helps me out. Wanted to do a little review on the Josh Taylor Jose Ramirez fight. That was obviously the early hours of Sunday morning, just gone. Today is Monday. Obviously the Undisputed junior welterweight world title fight. What a fight for boxing. Before we get into the actual fight itself, great to see these kind of fights being made. Two of the very best in the world, especially Josh Taylor coming into the fight, I felt was up there in the kind of pound for pound list, hovering around number 10 spot anyway. Jose Ramirez, of course, unified world champion, undefeated, really good fighter. Coming into the fight, Jose Ramirez was 26-0. Josh was, I believe, 17-0 coming into the fight. Both unified world champions. Josh Taylor, of course, the World Boxing Super Series champion and unified IBF and WBA Super Junior Welterweight world champion. And of course, Jose Ramirez coming in on the back of victory against the former WBC champion Victor Postol with the WBC title and the WBO title. So obviously massive encounter. The fight was scored 114-112 by all three judges in a unanimous decision victory for Josh Taylor. I think that's about right. Myself, I had it 115-111, which is 7-5 on rounds with 2 knockdown rounds. So the judges had it 114-112, which is 6-all in rounds, so a draw in rounds, but with Josh winning two knockdown rounds, so 2 10-8 rounds. So yeah, I thought it was about right. I think Josh was obviously a bit annoyed with the judging, with the scorecards afterwards, but to be honest, I think there were a lot of rounds that Ramirez was able to nick because he was busier and he was getting through and landing on Josh. I thought he was hitting the guard a lot. I thought Josh was doing a really good job of blocking some body shots and blocking a lot of the head shots, but Ramirez was getting through and landing some kind of, when he was throwing, say, 3-punch combinations, like 1, 2, 3, he was following with the feet and landing the last shot when Josh was kind of pulling out in straight lines a little bit too much sometimes, when Ramirez was landing that kind of last blow, all the rounds were close. Ramirez never really hurt Josh from what I could see, not significantly anyway, but it was a good fight and Ramirez was in the fight for sure. The knockdowns definitely won Taylor the fight, in my opinion. Yeah, so I thought Taylor won the fight 100%. I thought he did the better work for the most part. I think he could have been a bit busier. I thought that maybe there was an element of a bit of ring rust. I think if Josh was a bit more active over the last couple of years, I mean, obviously the pandemic hasn't helped anyone. He had one round against that undefeated guy called Kong Song, which is not his own fault. That's fair enough. He boxed Regis Prograis in 2018. You know what I mean? And he's had one round since then. So I think if Josh was a bit more active, he would have looked a lot better. You could see the gulf in class in terms of kind of range of abilities in there. I think Ramirez was really good at what he does, and he showed that he's really good at that. And Ramirez also has boxed a lot more recently, I believe, than Josh. So I think he did look kind of sharp, but Josh was just better. Josh was just a better boxer than him and can do more, and also has the sharper power. Josh is so technically clean. The knockdowns were a thing of beauty. The first knockdown was amazing. That kind of slip lean out to the left and short kind of counter backhand, kind of coming across, almost turned it into a hook. Beautiful shot. And Ramirez obviously caught him right on the tip of the chin, went down. The second, that was in the 6th round. The second knockdown was in the 7th round, where they were engaging into a clinch, and then Kenny Bayless slapped the arm of Taylor, I believe, and they broke out of the clinch, and just on the break of the clinch, Taylor just popped the backhand uppercut, the left hand uppercut, right onto the chin. It was perfect. Really cute, that is, to throw a shot like that. Really smart boxing. It might be argued that it's a little bit dirty. It's not dirty, it's not breaking the rules, but it's clever, you know what I mean? Really excellent. What a peach of a shot. I think the refereeing was pretty bad. Thought Kenny Bayless was fairly bad. I thought he was a little bit biased towards Ramirez. Yeah, I thought the refereeing was quite poor from Kenny Bayless. I was disappointed with it. I thought it looked like he was biased against Josh. I thought he was picking him up and warning him really easily on stuff that I don't think Josh was doing too much of. Like, he was very concerned with Josh pushing Ramirez down, Josh pushing Ramirez down. Thought Ramirez was coming low and Josh was putting a little bit of pressure on him, but he wasn't doing it excessively, and he wasn't doing it to a degree where it was really tactical or something. I don't really think it was like that. But Bayless seemed to be really on Josh Taylor's case. I thought that the two knockdowns, I thought Bayless gave way too much time in the counts. I would say that Josh was coming in to the middle of the ring trying to pounce on Ramirez like as soon as Bayless stopped counting, but Kenny, obviously he's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to be waiting in the neutral corner. So I thought like Josh didn't help himself from that point of view, but I did think at the same time that Kenny Bayless was giving Ramirez way too much time, and he was making way too much of a deal of that. So for me, I thought it was very biased reffing. I thought the counts were so slow compared to what we normally see. I mean, that second, if Ramirez had been in the ring for an extra 5 to 10 seconds, Josh could have got him out of there, or could have given Kenny a reason to stop the fight. But because there was only 10 odd seconds left in the round, when Josh was able to get his hands on him again after the second knockdown, he wasn't enough time. If he had 20 seconds, I think he may have got him. Even that's not much time, but I think he may have been able to get him out. He may have been able to catch him with another sweet shot to put him down, and that could have been the end of it, because Ramirez was really struggling after that second knockdown, and I don't think he ever fully recovered after. He did come back into the fight reasonably well, but at times as well Josh let him get some momentum back. But you could see he was a little shaky for a couple of rounds after. But I think Josh kind of cemented the fight in the 6th and 7th and 8th. He had a really, the 8th, after the 7th round where he had the really hurtful knockdown, he had a really good 8th round, and he really just punched him. He picked the shots well and punched him around for the 8th round. I thought it was really, really good. And then he kind of took a round off, I think, and he kind of gave up a couple more rounds. But again, Josh landed the better shots and did enough. Wasn't happy with the reffing. Had to watch the fight on Fight TV, of course, so we got the ESPN broadcast. Really wasn't happy with the commentary. Just to go slightly off the fight itself, I started thinking Christina Poncher was actually quite good, but she was super biased towards Ramirez. And to be honest, Algieri was as well in his commentary. Now, he scored the fight 6-6 in rounds, I think, or maybe 7-5 with the 2 knockdown rounds for Josh Taylor, but they just were talking about Ramirez's work constantly. They weren't really talking as much about Josh Taylor's work, which was really annoying. It's really frustrating in this day and age to see, and they're 2 top-ranked fighters as well, so there shouldn't be bias. And maybe it might be an accident, it might not be on purpose, but it's very frustrating to watch and to listen to when you're trying to watch the fight, and you're seeing that Josh is catching shots on the elbows really well, and he's catching shots on the gloves, but the commentators are talking about those punches as if they're landing shots. And then when Josh scores some good shots, they don't mention, they don't mention those shots, and that's really frustrating because it's not even, very frustrating. The commentary has been really bad lately, on most platforms, but I don't know, Christina Poncher's good at her job in terms of she's good at speaking, she's very knowledgeable, she knows a bit about boxing for sure, but I just think that the actual calling of the fight itself is just not of a good enough level. And Algieri wasn't great either, if I'm honest. He was probably a little bit better, ever so slightly better, but he was still, for me, he was a little bit biased, and he was still favouring Ramirez's work in how he was calling the fight, even if he wasn't scoring it that way. But it's annoying because it's just if you have an idea what you're watching, it's not nice to hear, I suppose. And it'll give people a false sense of what's going on as well, you know what I mean? I think the broadcasters need to step up their game a bit. The Zone need to do the same, with Sergio Mora and The only one I do like on the zone is actually Chris Mannix. He's decent, and when they brought Froch in for the Canelo Saunders fight, I thought that was a pretty good addition. But I actually forget the guy's name now, which is really annoying. They've one guy who I really don't like so much, and Sergio Mora is really not a great commentator at all. For someone who was a world champion, he tends to miss a lot and tends to speak in those very American kind of hyperbolic terms, and is not just, is too involved in trying to sound exciting, and speak with hype rather than actually just analysing what's going on in front of him, which he's probably well able to do as a former, I believe, a former lightweight world champion. But yeah, that was just digressing slightly. Absolutely buzzing for Josh Taylor. So happy that he won. Obviously, I was slightly biased towards Josh Taylor, but really happy for him. Really good guy. Really done it the right way. I mean, look at his record. I mean, he's 18-0 and he's undisputed champion. He's been boxing former world champions and world champions for the last, pretty much since his 11th or 12th fight. He's been boxing very good level guys and building really well, and that's one thing you have to give the McGuigans credit for. They do build fighters well, they do tend to match them well at the right times, and they knew what they had with Josh Taylor, and they matched him really well against good guys with good records, former champions, etc. And they put him in hard fights at good times, and I do think that's what set Josh Taylor up to be able to, and they kept him reasonably busy as well, which is, again, how he was able to put himself in a position to continue upping the levels constantly. Thought they did a similar job with Frampton when they had Frampton, but yeah, seemed to be pretty good work from Ben Davison as well. Not that we could hear the corner work, but they seem to be getting along very well. I really rate Ben Davison as a trainer. He's a real technical mind, which I really like. He seems to be very calm as well, and he's starting to get a lot of accolades. Of course, he's going to be in Devin Haney's corner for the Ramirez fight next week, or I should say this week. That doesn't happen by accident, people don't ask you to be in their corners like that if you're not exceptionally good. So happy for him as well that he's getting some accolades, and obviously getting a lot more work from people. Lee McGregor coming up is going to be amazing as well. Obviously European bantamweight champion. Yeah, but really buzzing for Josh Taylor. Cannot wait to see him in his next fight. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I think that good matchups for Josh Taylor now are Teofimo Lopez if he comes up undisputed. He's technically not undisputed. He's definitely you have to say he's the number one lightweight after beating Lomachenko for pretty much all the belts, bar the WBC. Of course, he has the WBC franchise title, which again is a video for a different day. I would like to see him box Lopez at 140, or step up and box Crawford at 147. But I don't see any harm in having a few fights at 140, defending those undisputed titles. Jack Catterall is the WBO mandatory, who's been waiting for a very long time to get a shot. I actually think that's a dangerous fight. Jack is kind of similar to Josh Taylor. Very good, slick southpaw boxer. It's such an overused term, slick southpaw, oh my god. But he kind of is that kind of guy. He's a really clever boxer, Jack Catterall. Very good judgment of distance, really kind of clever guy, doesn't get hit too much, decent power. Technically really, really good, but he hasn't been active enough, and he's not been managed to promote it very well. He's obviously been paid a few quid to step aside a couple of times and stuff. I think him against Ramirez was a really good fight. At one stage that looked like it was going to happen, and I think Catterall, I would have been backing Catterall there. He would have been the underdog, but I would have been backing him to beat Jose Ramirez, just to be able to outbox him and outfox him. But yeah, I think if Catterall gets his chance against Taylor, I think it's a good fight and he has a chance. But maybe because he hasn't been active enough and he hasn't boxed the level, even though I think he's kind of in and around that level himself, but he hasn't competed at that level for a long enough time, or often enough, or maybe debatably even at all. So yeah, it's interesting to see what happens with Josh Taylor. But look guys, thanks for tuning in, and make sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks very much. Sam Logue for Greenville Boxing. See you next time.